Hey everyone, it's Sarah Perez with Sarah Perez Wellness. Today I have the honor of interviewing Lisa Zawrotny. She's going to teach us why gratitude is so important, how gratitude can help us relieve those strong negative emotions that we have sometimes, and Lisa's 4 easy steps to develop your gratitude practice that actually works in your real life. So I'm super excited. Let's get started. Hey everybody, how is it going? I have decided to do these interview series on my YouTube channel because I love talking to people and I love interviewing people, especially experts. So check this out. I have a gratitude expert I'm so excited to talk to today. Her name is Lisa Zawrotny, and she is a certified stress management and productivity coach. And she's going to teach us some really cool ways to have gratitude in our lives, even when we think we can't do it. So, Lisa, welcome, and tell me what was the pull for you as far as getting into this gratitude theme?
Sarah, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here talking gratitude with you today. And the way that gratitude came to me was I had a very difficult time in my life as a caregiver to my mom. My children were little. I was actually pregnant when I first moved my mom in with me, took care of her through the disease of Alzheimer's until she passed. And that survival mode changed my way of thinking about everything. It's what led me to be a coach today to help people simplify and embrace self-care and structure and just change their lives to make space for what matters to them. And part of that path for me, decluttering the inside, embracing self-care, was learning about how powerful and how healing gratitude is. And that was actually when I began the practice. And it was little by little, trying it bit by bit, doing different things that I saw out there to bring gratitude into my life. And 3 years ago, I decided as a coach that I was going to create some more structure behind it for others so I could bring them in, help them understand what gratitude really is, and help them develop the habit of gratitude that's so much simpler than I think we make it out to be sometimes.
Oh my goodness. It's funny that you say that because when I first started my gratitude practice, it was like, oh yeah, journal your gratitude every night and write down things and make them different things and start with three. And I'm like, oh, and then I'd be like, I'm too tired to gratitude journal and blah, blah, blah. And, but you have a much simpler way of breaking it down because when we first think, oh, gratitude practice, a lot of work, right? But could you explain a little bit about how you made this structure, like basically what the structure is and how it's so simple to follow?
Sure. Well, first of all, it's a habit that we're trying to create. It's like building a muscle. So anything that you want to incorporate into your life and you want to do consistently, which of course is then a habit, it helps you because it becomes automatic. You don't have to use as much brain power and it just becomes part of your life. That's what we want, especially for something as powerful as gratitude. So the idea is whenever you're building any kind of habit, you come up with the smallest, easiest step possible. You come up with something where you're like, I could do that. So instead of that journaling thing that you were talking about, 3 things and journal and get all detailed and it has to be something different. And I'm like, instead of that, the way that we work in my gratitude group, which is celebrating 3 years today, this month, actually, as we're talking about this, uh, the way that we start is by simple awareness. And so that's like the first theme. We have 4 themes through 4 weeks that we practice together, and I come into the group and coach. And awareness is looking around, paying attention. It's that easy. Each day, one thing. That's it. How simple is that? And we comment or we share it with each other. We just make a note of it. So it's really starting small, paying attention, looking around. You and I were talking about this, and it's this idea of when people say, what are you grateful for? And so you have to kind of look around your life and you're like, well, I'm grateful we have the most amazing conversations together and that we've stayed connected. And I'm grateful that you invited me here. And I'm grateful that this is something that I can share with others and it really helps them. So yeah, you can kind of take it and you just do one thing at a time and you start simply. And that is the first step, the first week, the place where you go back to. So that's a takeaway right now. No matter what you see in terms of, oh, here's gratitude challenges or something you can do, if you get away from the practice, you come back to awareness, just one thing a day, share it with someone or post about it, do something like that. That's step one, or
That
the
is
first
awesome.
phase, if you will, right?
Yeah, yeah, because it's so simple. It's like
Yeah.
we don't have to go. Now, I must confess, I love signing up for challenges and then not doing them at all. Because I get so overwhelmed the first day. I'm like, wait, they want me to go out and find 5 clients tomorrow? What? Like, like the challenge says, oh, this is the result you're going to have. And here's the 5 days we're going to have to do it, which for me, as a working mom, too much pressure. So, what I love about the first step of your gratitude process is just be aware. It's like, ooh, yes, I'm totally grateful that you agreed to say, yes, let's have this conversation. Let's record it so people can listen and make their lives easier. I mean, how cool is that, right? We're all very busy. And I think that when we get busy, we lose that awareness a little bit. So bringing it back to that awareness and being like, oh, wow, I am so grateful that this pin works, like something really simple. And I love how you do that, especially in your group, because I've been a part of the daily gratitude stuff. I was like, oh, I want to go in there and say that I'm grateful for this because, so I step it up to the because part because, I have that awareness. But anyway, I might be giving away step number 2. So please continue.
You're giving away nothing. This is all good because, again, you're making it your own. When you come in and comment about something, in the group, you can comment about anything you want. You can be as detailed as you want. You can just be like coffee, and I'll be like, I get it. But you're absolutely right. What you're describing about that overwhelm and the being busy and the challenges, I think the challenges mean well. They're there for a reason. But this is also why, as a productivity coach, you will never hear me offer a challenge or a boot camp. I feel like life is hard enough. We need to find the simplest ways that step us into the places we want to be and build. Again, this is building a muscle. You don't walk into the gym and lift the heaviest thing. You start small and you build. So speaking of building, the next phase that I work with in the group is actually what's called gratitude in action. And that's where you're increasing your awareness, not only to look around, see what you're grateful for, but now you're taking it to the next step to say, well, how is this tangible in my life? How do I take action? Like, am I specifically saying thank you? Am I writing notes? Am I showing what I appreciate in my life by offering my gifts to others? Like, for me, what we're doing right now and sharing this, for me, is gratitude in action. I'm grateful that I've been able to do this, that I've been able to explain it as a coach, help people do it really simply, and now to continue to share it. That is me, you know, embodying gratitude in action. Generosity, acts of kindness, things like that, sharing of yourself and your spirit. And there's so many different ways to do it,
Oh, sure.
right? None of these things are specific, like you can only do it this way. You can literally pass someone in a store and they hand you something and you say thank you. you know Gratitude in action. It's but again, it's that awareness of not only being aware but then starting to take action with that awareness, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. And would you consider, like, okay, so just like as a little snippet example out of my life, and maybe other people are like this too.
Hmm.
So when I've been practicing gratitude and it's like, okay, this is cool. So I have the awareness, but there's like this little giddy feeling inside of me. And I'm just like, I am so grateful I have laundry detergent because then I can do all the laundry. Like, I get really excited about that. Would that be considered like gratitude in action?
Well, I think the giddy part where it bursts forth and you tell someone probably would be. But you know what? You are appreciating and you're acting upon something. I think being in a moment where we are doing something and we are experiencing gratitude in that moment and saying, I get to.
Yeah.
That's powerful. That is gratitude in action. And again, the lines do blur. It's not like it's this is one specific thing or not, but it's such a beautiful moment where you can say, even with something that feels mundane,
Mm-hmm.
that you can say, I get to. And that's a wonderful phrasing. And that's something else, by the way, that you can take with you today. Is it's not always I'm grateful for. Sometimes it's asking yourself, what do I get to do? Or what am I celebrating? Or what went really right? Or what just makes me laugh and feel joyous? It's not always saying, what am I grateful for?
Mm-hmm.
Being in awe, here's a great example, being in awe of things. And that's something my children and I share when I drive them to school and we are winding down like a mountain. We're high up on a hill
Oh,
and we look around and we see some gorgeous scenery and we see it every time we drive to school and we're in awe of it. That's gratitude. And that's a gratitude practice there.
that's awesome. And it's very simple. Um, and it's very easy to not recognize that. Like,
There
you
you go.
drive that route every day with your kids, every day, every day. But
Yeah.
to actually look out the window and be like, wow, look at that mountain and all the trees on it. It's so amazing. We get to see
Yep.
this every day. And I actually I understand that from a perspective as a mom, because I was taking my kids to school before this whole pandemic hit, and I didn't realize how much I appreciated listening to music with my kids in the car until it went away. And that's
Ah,
when it was like, oh, dang. But now I tell my son to be the DJ so we all get to dance. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the music we get to listen to together. So I'm grateful for it, but it's also energetic in a sense because we get to dance around and have fun. And that's really important too.
right. And there's that action part of it as well, because you're saying, let's do this together. You're playing it, you're, expressing that gratitude by doing that. And it's all built in. It's like that next level of awareness.
Yeah.
So, speaking of which, the next level after that we explore is what I call gratitude in adversity. One of the most powerful things I ever came to realize, I think I read it somewhere first, and I was so struck by it, is this idea that you can be devastated and grateful at the same time. I think we can sometimes be fooled into the idea that gratitude or thankfulness is a happy time kind of thing, and that is some kind of, it's an emotion where we're like, oh, it's happy and things are great, and that just like that throws us into the whole toxic positivity thing. We don't need that, right? And I know that's big for you too, is that we're trying to avoid that trap. That's not what this is at all. Gratitude is a deep appreciation for something, and there's always something that you can find. And I call those the embers. Like when the fire's almost out, you are devastated, you are hurting, you are weary, but somewhere in there are these little moments, these little embers that you can take care of and you can stoke and you can grow, because what we focus on, we fuel. Those little moments, sometimes it's simple as, I survived today. I took another breath. I took another step. Sometimes it's, wow, this really sucks, but I have the most amazing support system ever.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's, I didn't think I'd get through this day, and somebody just brought me an iced coffee. I mean, it sounds funny, but I'm bringing this up because I want you to understand that experiencing and appreciating and practicing gratitude, acknowledging gratitude. Sometimes it's not even that you're practicing it, conscientiously, but or that you even realize that you're doing it, but it can be part of your life when you recognize, like you said before, you're doing something, you're like, oh, that's what that is. And the more that you recognize it, the more that you can say, I'm going to do that again. Tomorrow when I get up again and I'm still breathing and I'm still putting one foot in front of the other, I'm going to recognize and be grateful that I'm doing that. And that's going to help bring you out of it. When we're hurting is when we need gratitude the most for healing. So it
Yes.
seems counterintuitive, but it's absolutely what we need. So wherever we can find it and understanding that they do coexist,
Mhm.
that brings the hope.
Yeah. And that's such a good point too, because basically that takes you back to your practice and your habit of gratitude. You can't really have the third step until you've got those other two, until you've practiced the other two. Because
That's right.
when you're hurting, it's even harder to find those little embers, like you said, right? So it's like
Mm-hmm.
going back to, okay, what can I find? Somebody brought me a coffee. And like, how cool. How cool is that? Like, it's like, I'm sad, I'm sick. The same thing happened to me when I was like, I was absolutely exhausted. I seriously thought I had COVID, but I didn't, like when it first started, I got sick and my sinuses, it was horrible. But I was in bed, and as sick as I felt, I was grateful to actually be breathing in my lungs. I was
Mm.
grateful that my dad and my husband were taking care of my kids so that I could rest, right? So that's where those first two steps actually showed up a lot in the third step for me personally, because I was able to do that.
Right. When you're in practice of awareness, right? The more that you do that, the better you get at it. The more we find to be grateful for, the more we're going to find to be grateful for. It's like this wonderful thing that's like this positive feedback loop, this thing that keeps growing and growing. And I'll tell you that iced coffee example happened to me while I was caring for my mom and I had my two littles and I was absolutely weary and completely exhausted. And it happened more than once with some dear, dear friends who would come by with a gallon of milk for the kids and an iced coffee for me. And I was just like, oh, like, I mean, and it's such a beautiful thing. And I remember it. It's years ago and I remember it. And here's another fun fact about gratitude. When we experience that and we express it and then we share it again, our brains feel like it happened in that moment. So we get to keep experiencing the benefits of gratitude. The more we express it, the more we share it, even having this conversation right now, no matter how long ago that was.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's fantastic because you're absolutely right. And we can see that cropping up in our lives day by day. The more that we do something or practice something, like I play the piano.
Mhm.
I didn't get good at playing the piano by not playing the piano every day, right? So it's
Yes.
kind of the same concept, right? And it's such a refreshing it's such a refreshing thing to have these steps, to know that there's nothing wrong with you. It's life. We live in this
Yeah.
human experience. And the more that we can follow these steps and show gratitude and recognize gratitude and get into the positive cycle, the easier life becomes just because of gratitude, right?
Absolutely. Our brains are wired for the negative. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not, a fault. It's simply what happens because our brains are looking out for us, want to protect us. And this happens all the time with habits. It's like, are you sure you want to do that, Lisa? That seems really hard. Right? So, and our brains are always looking for the problem, the threat, just, on high alert for that. So a gratitude practice helps balance that.
Mm-hmm.
It helps us be open to the possibilities, to the good. And again, it's not negating the struggles, not at all. It's honoring them, but saying, but what can we find? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point to bring up too, because a little bit earlier you mentioned toxic positivity. So
Yes.
for those people who do not know what toxic positivity could you go over just a little bit of what kind of toxic positivity is?
Yeah, essentially, it's when someone comes to you and says it's good vibes only focus on the good, and you're not honoring the challenges. You're forcing it to be only good. You're not recognizing, you're not allowing people to process the struggle and the hurt and the pain.
Hmm.
So there's this idea that at least the way that I approach things is we are looking for positivity. I mean, my business name is Positively Productive, but it's not all positive. It's the idea of seeking out the positive, seeking out the good, trying to figure out, well, I'm in this situation. What can I do? What is possible? What's an opportunity? But that doesn't mean that you're not devastated, that you're not hurt, that you're not weary, that you're not struggling. And you absolutely need to honor that and process those emotions, because if you don't, they will come out somewhere.
Oh
Emotions,
my
right?
goodness. I
Emotions
am,
cannot be trapped. Emotions are
no.
that energy that they will find a way out. And if you don't process it and honor it and be real with it, then you will be going along with a smile on your face, trying to be positive and blow up at somebody and who knows what else. So that's toxic positivity. And that's what we want to avoid. And I just, I feel like it's so important to understand that a gratitude practice is not at all the good vibes only thing. It is understanding and honoring the whole spectrum of human emotion, but finding the good. And it's like a practice to build the muscle to seek out the good.
Yeah, that's an awesome explanation. Thank you for that because I did not know what toxic positivity was when I was an engineer. And what ended up happening is I was shoving down and ignoring those emotions.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't honoring them. And I thought, nope, good vibes only. Everything's happy. Everything's happy. Everything's fine. I'm not stressed out. Like there was a lot of things I told myself, and it ended up in a chronic illness.
Yeah.
And then I had to reevaluate my entire life. And so so I want to urge whoever's listening, please listen to Lisa because she knows what she's talking about. I know what she's talking about from personal experience as well. And the toxic positivity is not the way to go.
No, it is so, so dangerous. And that's not at all what we're talking about here. We're talking about something that is much safer and honors everything that you're going through, but also at the same time helps you build something that will bring you out of it and help you heal.
Yeah, and that's such a powerful message. So now I know there's a fourth step to this, so let's get to the good stuff. No.
Really, the fourth step, and here's the brilliance of it, the fourth step, or the fourth stage, if you will, is talking about the specific approach. And I think it's so powerful to say, oh, now we're talking about the approach, because that is how simple building gratitude and building a practice can be, is that it's not about the journal or something in your planner or the app that you're finding or the group or the challenge you're doing. It's not about any of that. You need none of that in order to build a gratitude practice. I'll tell you, the first gratitude practice I ever started, and I really need to trademark the name that I've given it. I called it the Gratis Snooze, because I would get up in the morning, and before I grabbed my phone, before I put my feet on the floor, before I spoke to anyone, I would lie there, take a deep breath, and think of three things that I appreciated from the day before, that were going to happen in the morning, whatever was going on. Three things, that's it, just three.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And some days it would be like three, three, three. What are three? And I didn't have rules, by the way. It wasn't like you can't repeat yourself,
Right.
because let me tell you how many times ice cream has showed up on my list. So
Yeah, right.
the point is, there's no rules about it. I gave myself that personal, like, three's a magic number, let's do three. And I did that, and I called it the Gratis Snooze, because it meant that I could just lie there a little quietly before I got up and just attacked the day. So again, you don't need any of the things. So the fourth stage we talk about is the approach, because I'm a habits coach. And so you do want to find the thing that will help you delve further into it. And you want to understand how each of these types of approaches can work, how you can use them for you and your family, how you can incorporate them in different ways. So we explore things like gratitude slips for jars or baskets, and how you could do that with your family. Everyone can write something down, put that in, and then at a certain time, you can all pull out those slips and share with each other, read each other's, things like that. You could have a gratitude whiteboard where people just randomly write stuff when they think of it. And every time you go by and you're reading it, you're sharing that with each other. You can have a journal, especially if this is something that works for you. Habits have to coincide with how we work best.
Yeah.
But we talk about what that would mean, what it would look like, and how, when you get deeper into the reasons why, the because that you mentioned earlier,
Mhm.
that that takes your gratitude exploration to another level.
Yeah.
It's like you get to riff off the idea. I'm grateful for my husband because of this, and then oh, and that too, and that, and you inspire yourself to go further and deeper. And one of the ways to explore gratitude in that way that's very powerful is, instead of going over the long haul, I mean wide and shallow, of taking one thing and exploring it deeper and deeper and deeper. Again, that's not how we started. That wasn't the awareness. That's, no rules here. We're
Right.
starting and we're practicing. But when we get to this point, that's the next kind of level, to be like, okay, let's add a little weight, weight
Yeah.
at the gym, and kind of do something next. And, or sometimes it's just a different way to do it.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
those are the things we explore there, the approaches, and there's so many different ways. And of course, there are apps now too that are wonderful, that remind you. To be honest, you could set a silent timer on your phone. And I say silent because we want it to be gentle. We don't want it like, jarring you. Or you
Ding,
could,
ding,
yeah,
ding.
or like your favorite song or something. I mean, again, you do you,
Right.
but you can set yourself a reminder that's just like, hey, what went well today? What are we celebrating? And
Mhm.
you can have some fun with it. There's so many different ways, but we do explore that in the group, so that you can pick something that you're like, I think I'm going to try that.
That's
And
awesome.
then each quarter, I come back in and we go through this process again and share stories and share ideas. And sometimes you have to say, you know what? That journaling was awesome, but I'm done with it now. I think I want to do something different. And that's okay. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And we don't, sticking with habits doesn't necessarily mean we do the same thing every day for the rest of our life, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
that's
it's just
really
about automating it, because our brains want to have that familiar, they want to have the pattern, and they want to say, okay, now I don't have to think about it.
right.
I don't, that it's just, again, it's automatic, and that's a good thing. But we just want to make sure that what we do that's automatic is serving us.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like taking a shower every morning. It's like, you got to get the dirt off and then start your day fresh. And some people take showers at night, but I'm just using an example like,
Yeah,
brushing your teeth. You do that every day. Why do you do that? Because my mom told me to when I was like 5 or what, so it's like,
right.
but it's the same concept with gratitude. And so I really appreciate you bringing that approach, because it actually makes it more digestible for those
Mhm.
of us having a lot of stuff going on. It's like, okay, I really want to do this. And I don't know about the rest of everybody out there or you, Lisa, but I'm the type of person that gets really excited about something. And in the Enneagram, I'm a number 7, just to let you know. Um, I get really excited about something and I go full bore, and then boom, I stop. And I'm like, well, whatever. I'm just going to do life. And I love your grata snooze. You totally should trademark that, because, like when I wake up in the mornings, previously in my previous chronic illness lifetime,
Mhm.
when I was building the chronic illness, I would literally wake up and start working. I would jump out of bed at
Yeah,
4:30 in the morning, jump on the treadmill, do my trainings, record my things, then get the kids in school, then go to work, and then, I mean, literally my day started running, and I was
yeah.
running the entire day until I would pass out exhausted. And so I love that you can take that time in the morning, that you're basically giving us all permission to stay in bed and actually just be grateful. Feel that feeling of gratitude no matter what it is. I mean, this morning I was grateful for my soft pillow. I'm like, I love this soft pillow. I'm so grateful for it, And it was really that simple.
You're right. And sometimes we need to remind ourselves that we have permission to do certain things. And if you think about it, what is that? 3 to 5 minutes?
Oh, yeah.
No matter how busy you are, no matter how many demands there are, these are little things that you can fit in. And that goes back to the habit building, keeping it super simple and looking at something and saying, I could do that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's extremely powerful, right? So I appreciate you sharing all of this wonderful knowledge with us and such easy and doable things to actually create this wonderful cycle of just positivity that's good, like, I don't want to say good positivity, actually, like productive positivity, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's very insightful, and it's a breath of fresh air, really, Lisa. I totally appreciate you coming on. And how can people like learn more about your group, or learn more about what you do?
Oh, thank you. It's been my pleasure to talk about this. I love talking about this, and I would love to hear from everyone. Come find me at my website, positivelyproductive.com. On there, you can learn a bit more about me and my story. You can learn what I do, how I work with people. You can get access to my podcast, the Positively Living podcast. You can also click a link and join the free gratitude group. I'd love to see you in there. So yeah, the website's the best way to find me, to find all these things. I do hang out on Instagram and Facebook. Instagram, I especially have a lot of fun with. That's positively_Lisa. But again, you go to my website, positivelyproductive.com, and you can find me in all these places through the website.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and in the comments, we'll put your website so people could just click, see what
Yep.
you got, and then click on whatever they want. I can actually attest to Lisa's Instagram. I love seeing her pictures of her coffees and stuff like that. It's just so entertaining, and it really is a breath of fresh air in my day. I'm like, oh, let's see what Lisa's doing, you know, which
That's
is
awesome.
actually how I got the idea to be like, you know what? I need to interview her because she's got a lot of really cool and smart things to say, right? So I'm like, I'm gonna reach out. And so actually it was from some of your posts on Instagrams, was really inspired to reach out to you. So thank you so much for being a light in our community, Lisa. And is there anything else that you would like to say as like closing words?
Well, the thing that's my go-to that is this idea, and I'm probably paraphrasing it from Sophia Bush, but it's this idea that you can be a masterpiece and a work in progress simultaneously. So, search for what you want, go for what you want, but also appreciate and have gratitude for you while you're doing this in every step.
Awesome, awesome. That is super powerful. Well, thank you again. Much gratitude to you. Everybody out there watching, if you want to rewatch this 100 times, sometimes it takes me a while. So, but I really do appreciate everything that you do, Lisa. And you guys, check out her website and see what resonates with you, because she's got a lot of really cool stuff going on. So until next time, everybody, have a very happy day. Much gratitude, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.